Night watch at the carnival. Lauren had been working the night shift at the old carnival on the outskirts of California for about 4 months now. It wasn't exactly the job she had dreamed of, but it paid the bills and kept her mind off things. Plus, she figured, how bad could it be? Watching over a bunch of rusted rides and creepy clown heads while everyone else was asleep. Easy money, but this carnival, there was something off about it. Always had been. She'd heard the rumors from the locals, stories about the accidents, the disappearances, but Lauren wasn't one to buy into all that. Ghost stories were for kids. She had seen some real shit in her life, things that made ghost tales look like bedtime stories. Still, every night, when she walked the empty grounds, the hairs on the back of her neck would stand on end. The air felt heavier here, thicker, like it was holding on to something it wasn't supposed to. And the lights, they flickered way too much for her liking. This particular night, though, the feeling was worse. The wind had picked up, whistling through the crooked stands, and there was a strange chill in the air. Lauren pulled her jacket tighter, flashlight in hand as she made her rounds. The rides loomed like giant skeletons in the dark, metal creaking with every gust of wind. There was a rusted Ferris wheel in the center of the carnival, long since stopped turning, and a carousel with cracked horses, their eyes gouged out by time or by something else. It was all still, dead, like it had been for years. But tonight, it didn't feel so dead. As she passed the old funhouse, something caught her eye. A light, faint and flickering, coming from the inside. She hadn't seen that light in all the months she'd been working here, and no one was supposed to be there. The funhouse was locked up tight, or so she thought. "Fuck," she muttered to herself, gripping her flashlight a little tighter. She approached slowly, her footsteps sounding way too loud in the empty silence. When she reached the door, it was slightly ajar. Her gut told her to turn around and forget she'd ever seen it, but her pride wouldn't let her. She pushed it open with a creak and stepped inside. The air inside was stifling, stale, like it had been trapped for years. The hall of mirrors stretched out before her, reflecting the dim light of her flashlight back at her in jagged, broken pieces. Every step she took echoed, bouncing off the mirrors, making it sound like something was walking right behind her. She tried to ignore the feeling of being watched, but it was getting harder. She wasn't alone. She knew it. Something was in here with her. Something that didn't belong in the world outside. Suddenly she heard it, a faint giggle like a child's. But it wasn't the kind of laugh that came from joy. No, this was something twisted, distorted, like it had been pulled from a nightmare. Lauren froze, her flashlight trembling in her hand. The laugh echoed again, this time closer. "Ain't funny, asshole," she called out, trying to sound tough, but her voice cracked, betraying her nerves. She swung the flashlight around, trying to catch a glimpse of whoever, or whatever, was messing with her. And that's when she saw it. In the reflection of one of the mirrors, just behind her, stood a figure. A tall, gaunt thing, with hollow eyes and a twisted grin that stretched too wide across its face. But when she spun around, the space behind her was empty. Her heart pounded in her chest as she turned back to the mirror. The figure was still there, still grinning, but now it was closer. Much closer. "Shit," she whispered, backing away. But no matter how far she moved, the figure stayed in the reflection, creeping closer until it was right in front of her, its breath fogging up the glass. She bolted, running blindly down the hall, mirrors flashing past her like ghosts reaching out with cold fingers. The giggling followed her, growing louder until it was a deafening cackle. She didn't dare look back. She just ran. her breath ragged, her legs burning. Finally, she burst through the exit, the cool night air hitting her like a slap to the face. She stumbled forward, falling to her knees, her flashlight clattering to the ground. She was out. She was safe, or so she thought. As she tried to catch her breath, she noticed something. The wind had stopped. The carnival was silent again. Too silent. Slowly, she looked up at the Ferris wheel. Her blood ran cold. It was moving. Slowly, creakily, the rusted metal groaned as the wheel turned, its cabin swaying in the breeze that wasn't there. Her mind raced. The damn thing hadn't moved in years. How the hell was it moving now? And then she saw it. Inside one of the cabins, high above, was the figure. The same twisted, grinning thing from the fun house, staring down at her, watching. Lorraine stumbled back, her heart pounding in her ears. She had to get out of here, now. She turned and ran, but the sound of the Ferris wheel kept echoing in her head, that slow, steady creak, like something was counting down the seconds until it came for her.